Hi, my name is Elizabeth Zaebst, and I am a student at the University of Michigan School of Public Health. I am also an intern with Michigan Medicine's Bariatric Department. Today I'm going to show you 5 bariatric family-friendly freezer meals that you can make in advance and make your meal preparation easy. So our first recipe is an easy shrimp stir-fry freezer pack, and this will be a meal that you can use to serve a quick and easy dish on a weeknight or any day where you need something fast. You're going to prepare all the ingredients in advance, put them in a Ziploc or other freezer safe container, and then on the night that you're ready to prepare it, you can put it in the pan directly from frozen without having to thaw anything in advance. So that's one of the really nice features of this, and it's great for nights that you're feeling like takeout, but you don't feel like taking the time that it would be for going and getting it or having it delivered. So this uses shrimp, and you want to be sure that while you're preparing this, the shrimp stays frozen the entire time for food safety. So you will wait to pull the shrimp out for the freezer bags until you're ready to assemble everything together. So first you're going to take the vegetables and the sauce ingredients, prepare that, and then add the shrimp. Also note that you could substitute the shrimp with chicken, diced up and raw, or any other protein option that you are interested in using for this. So that is another thing to keep in mind. This should be served over cauliflower rice to fit your meal requirements, or you could also put it into butter lettuce leaves to have sort of an Asian lettuce wrap. The other thing, if you are serving this for family, feel free for their servings to serve it over top of, white or brown rice for them, but you will, again, want to keep it to cauliflower rice or making a lettuce wrap for yourself. So let's get on with the cooking. So to begin, we have the broccoli, bell pepper, and sugar snap peas and carrots ready to go. What I've done here is I've used a green bell pepper, but feel free to use a red or a yellow and orange. It might add some nice color to this. And you want about a cup of that. And then you're also going to want to have a cup of sugar snap peas. Then additionally, for the carrots, you can use grated, pre-grated in the store, like the shredded kind, or you can grate 2 carrots as I have done here. And lastly, you'll want to have about 16 ounces of broccoli. And so you'll want to get these ready to go for the bags. Next, we're going to make the sauce. Remember, your shrimp is still in the freezer at this point, staying cold. And so I have everything pre-measured out here to make it easy to show, but feel free to measure it directly into the bowl as well. First, we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of reduced sodium soy sauce. And so you'll add that in. And then next you have 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, but you could also use more soy sauce in its place if you don't have fish sauce at hand. Then 1 tablespoon of the rice rind vinegar, and then you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of brown swerve, which is a sugar substitute. And then you will add in some cornstarch, 1 teaspoon. And next we'll add in sriracha, 1 teaspoon, but that is optional. You don't have to have it. It just will add a nice spice kick to it. And then you also will add in some sesame oil, 1 tablespoon. Feel free to substitute that with olive oil if you need to, if you don't have sesame oil. It does add a nice flavor to Asian dishes, but you're more than welcome to substitute that. And then you'll want to blend everything together, making sure the cornstarch and the brown sugar get evenly dispersed. That's the brown swerve, which is a sugar substitute. You want to make sure the cornstarch and the brown swerve get completely blended. And then you can also use a whisk for that section. But once you add in the grated ginger and garlic, you'll want to use a spoon just so it doesn't get caught into the whisk. And this is 3 cloves of garlic that have been minced, as well as freshly grated ground ginger. But you can also use minced, which I actually mince the ginger. I prefer it that way. So feel free to do that. Stir it well, and then we're going to add in the shrimp. So your shrimp is frozen, and you're just going to drop the frozen shrimp directly from the freezer and then into this bowl that has the sauce. You'll want to stir the sauce around into the shrimp to be sure that the shrimp gets evenly coated, and this is going to be how your sauce is in the freezer packets. It's based on, whatever's been caught up onto the shrimp here. So first I'm mixing that and just being sure to get the garlic and the ginger evenly dispersed throughout to the best of my ability without spending too much time doing this, because you don't want this shrimp to sit in this bowl for a considerable amount of time, because again, you want to keep the shrimp frozen. So next I have my bags ready to go along with my vegetables, and I'm going to spoon in some shrimp and getting a little bit of the sauce as well, layering that in on the bottom of the bags. And I've chosen freezer safe Ziplocs, but you're more than welcome to use any of your favorite freezer safe containers, maybe some reusable ones. That's also an option. So you're more than welcome to do that. Another thing you can do is you can actually take a scale, and you can use a scale that will help you determine how much is in each bag, which is what I've done now. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get them each to be generally around the same number. And as I mentioned previously, this recipe will make 8 servings, and because I serve 2 in my family, I have 4 bags, because it will just be easy for me to pull each one out on the day that I want to make the recipe. You are welcome to do this differently. You could do 1 serving per bag, making it nice and easy for you. You could also put it into maybe 2 larger freezer bags, and this would be great if you have a family of 4 and you wanted, or 4 people that you want to have a meal ready to go for. So there's that as well. It's just really nice on a night when you don't feel like getting takeout to be able to go to your freezer, pull this out, and have something ready to go. And this could also be something that you put into individual serving size bags, so that way if you do have others that you serve, you can maybe, if they're doing takeout, you can have this as a fallback, knowing that you have something that is in line with your meal plan ready to go for you right away. And it's fast. It only takes about 8 to 10 minutes to cook on the night that you're ready to cook it. So all of the directions for this recipe are on the slide that was on earlier. And so feel free to pause the video, rewind it, check that out. And there will also be some PDFs too of the recipes that you can ask the bariatric dietitians to give you a copy of. So hopefully that'll make it really easy for you. So here I'm just taking the remaining little bits of the sauce. I just want to make sure I get all of those pieces of garlic and ginger to be sure that they can be there to flavor the recipe. And I'm going to distribute this amongst all of the bags. So you can see this is a little tedious. Thanks for bearing with me as I get this in the video. But I just want to be sure you see the process here. And so what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to layer in each of the vegetables, trying to get a rough balance and distribution of each one. The other thing you could do on this is, if you like other vegetables, feel free to substitute with anything that you enjoy having in this type of dish. You could add in water chestnuts. They also have the canned baby corn pieces that are in traditional Asian dishes. Those would be great in here. So feel free to play around with this recipe and modify it based on your family or your personal preferences. So that's definitely an option for you as well, and it's a great way to add some variety. And the nice thing is, like I mentioned, this does not need to get thawed beforehand. So you want to keep the shrimp frozen this entire time, and then you also want to be sure that when you are ready to cook it, you can just pull it straight out from the freezer and put it in the pan. And so it makes a really nice last minute meal on a night that you're not sure what you want to make. So here I am just distributing each thing in between all of the bags, and you just want to layer and make sure each bag gets a good distribution of all the different good vegetables that you're including into the dish. So I'm going to just keep going through, layering each one, and then in a second you'll see a clip of what the bags look like assembled. And here we have the completed bags. I did 2 servings per bag, mixed everything in, and so you'll directly put this in the freezer. Freeze for up to about a month. So try to use it in the next couple of weeks, and when you're ready to enjoy it, no need to thaw, just take it directly from the freezer and put it into a pan, following the directions that were included at the beginning of the video. And here we have the final product. You basically just want to heat up the olive oil into a saucepan, and then you're going to heat this over medium-high. Add the shrimp mixture, cook, stirring occasionally until the shrimp is cooked through and the vegetables are tender, which will take about 8 to 10 minutes. Serve this immediately over cauliflower rice and garnish with sesame seeds and green onions if you would like. You could also put this into butter lettuce leaves to serve as sort of a lettuce wrap. I hope you enjoy. Our next recipe is for slow cooker chili chicken tacos. This is a great recipe that you can prepare in advance in your slow cooker and then freeze ready, so it's ready to go for you on a night that you want an easier meal. Feel free to freeze this into single serving sizes to make things nice on a night that you need something for yourself, or in a family size portion if you have more than just one mouth to feed. To start, this is a recipe from marthastewart.com, and it includes boneless chicken thighs, garlic cloves, salsa, chipotle chilies, and chili powder along with salt and pepper. So it really has a pretty minimal ingredient list and makes it kind of nice on a night that you want something easy. You can substitute this with mild salsa if you are wanting to do that. You could also make a homemade salsa if you're into that sort of thing, and that would be acceptable to use with some chopped up tomatoes and garlic and onion, for example, adding in jalapeno if you chose. Feel free to customize this based on your liking, and also if you're sensitive to spice, feel free to use less chili powder if you'd like. And then if you're someone who enjoys a lot of spice, one thing I have done is I've actually used an entire jar of salsa and an entire can of chipotle chilies, so just know that those are other options that you can do as well if that's something that you'd like to do. But as prepared, this recipe is really easy and it's a big crowd pleaser as well. So again, this is a shot of what ingredients you'll need: the chicken, salsa, peppers, chili powder, garlic, salt, and pepper. So here's the chicken inside the crock pot, and I'm adding in the salsa. Feel free to use homemade if you like, but you can use any sort of prepared salsa, mild or whatever heat that you're interested in using. Then you're going to add in your chili powder. Feel free to modify the amount of this. If you want less spice, you can add in a little less. I have a tablespoon here. And then I'm adding in the canned chipotle peppers that are canned into an adobo sauce. I've chopped these up. Feel free again to modify this. If you don't tolerate spice well, you might want to just use a little bit extra mild salsa instead. Or if you like a lot of spice, feel free to add in more than the called for amount of peppers. And then I'm adding in garlic. I have chopped my garlic, but you are also welcome to slice it. Sometimes I do it that way too. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm feeling in when I chop everything up. And then lastly, you're just going to add in salt and pepper to taste. And you will be cooking this in the slow cooker for 4 hours on high heat or low for 8 hours. I usually do the high heat option for 4 hours, and it works really well. So here's my chicken after the 4 hours, and I will just want to be sure that I shred the meat to get it ready to go for the tacos. So here I am just using tongs to shred it. Feel free to use forks if you would like to too. It will make it a little easier. I have a nonstick surface, so I needed to pay attention to that with my utensil. So you get it ready to put into a freezer safe container. This serves 8 people, so feel free to divide that accordingly if you want to do 1 serving per freezer container, or however you want to divide it. And then you're ready to go ahead and put in the freezer, or you can enjoy it this evening. So here's a shot of just some of my favorite taco toppings. Feel free to customize this and do what it works best for you. Right now I have diced tomato, some cilantro, sliced jalapeno, lime juice, green onions, avocado, and radishes. And as an alternative to a traditional tortilla, I like to use butter lettuce leaves. You'll want to separate the leaves at the base and rinse them underneath water. This is what they'll look like after they've been prepared and they're ready to go as to be filled. And you can see this image here of the tacos as I have prepared them. Enjoy. Our third recipe is for semi-homemade pasta sauce, and so this is going to be a recipe that you can use and to have sauce ready to go on a night that you want an easy meal. This will be something that you do want to thaw in advance, so you want to put it in the refrigerator probably the night before that you would want to use it. And this is basically a recipe that I have adapted through my mom, and this uses ground chicken, and you'll be surprised you cannot tell that it's ground chicken in this recipe, and it does cut the fat in considerably by using lean ground chicken for this. So serving size will be 1/6 of the recipe, but you are welcome, if your appetite doesn't allow you to have quite so much, feel free to, obviously cut this down a little bit, but we do have the nutrition information down there in the right hand corner for you to see. 17.5 grams of protein for 1/6 of the recipe. You'll want to serve this over top of zoodles, which are zucchini spiralized into noodles, or you could use another favorite pasta substitute. Spaghetti squash is a great one, and there's tons of recipes online on figuring out how to prepare spaghetti squash. So this is a really easy recipe, great for a night when you want something cozy and like a comfort dish. It's one of my favorites. So these are the spices and vegetables that you'll need to get ready to go for this spaghetti sauce. We have basil, Italian seasoning, fennel seed, that's optional, some pepper, as well as oregano, red chili pepper, and garlic powder. And I've also just prepared all of these in that little dish that you see. I've minced up some garlic, chopped up some onion, and also some green pepper. For additional ingredients, you'll want to have some ground chicken, and this is 1 pound, as well as a can of diced tomatoes that you'll drain the excess liquid out of. And then any pasta sauce is fine, just make sure that it is no sugar added, and you'll find this out by looking at the label on the back underneath sugars. Just before sure it says no sugar added, and this one says it on the front of the label too, so there's 2 places for you to check to be sure that that's the kind that you find. So first off, you're going to place your chicken into a pan. You might need to add a small smidge of olive oil. I would try to keep it as minimal as possible just to control the nutrition content, but if you find that it's sticking, mine did a little bit, that would be something that would help. So just saute this completely until it is cooked all the way through. And then you will set it aside, drain it, and we'll go ahead and start sauteing the vegetables. So adding in the onion and green pepper, this is after the chicken's already cooked and you've drained it. You want to just saute it and just until the onions become translucent. And then you're going to add in the chicken back near the last few minutes of this. And then finally, you'll want to add in all of the herbs that we started. So basically, it's just half a teaspoon of all of the different herbs, and I've already prepared them in advance. I just pour them in. I've also added the garlic in here. I just covered it up, but you can see it there. You just want to saute that for about 30 seconds, just being sure that the garlic does not burn. Next, you're going to put in the tomato sauce, the entire jar, and then stir that around, and then you'll also add in the diced tomatoes that you have already drained. Just take out all the excess liquid. You're going to stir this completely together and then let it come to a slight boil. And then the minute that happens, turn it down to a low heat, put a cover on it, and let it simmer for 15 minutes to thoroughly heat through and then come together. So now the sauce is ready to go. You can serve it as it is, or you can let it cool just a bit and then go ahead and put it into containers that are ready to go like we have here for the freezer. I do recommend letting it cool to the temperature of the refrigerator and then putting it into the freezer just for good freezer safety habits. And just a reminder that this recipe is 1/6 of the recipe for a serving size, so keep that in mind as you're dividing out how much you'd like to put into each container. Next recipe is a low-carb chicken enchilada casserole. One suggestion I have is to think about doubling this. It's a great recipe to make more of, and that way you have extra meals ready to go in the freezer. And this recipe was sourced from bariatricmealprep.com. So here's the ingredients that you'll need for this recipe. You'll start with 12 ounces of cooked chicken, cubed or shredded. This was actually chicken that I had in my freezer from previously making a rotisserie chicken. So that's definitely an easy way to have this ready to go. Feel free to buy rotisserie chicken too if you don't have time to cook it, or you can always cook a couple chicken breasts in an oven, 350 degrees, for about 40 minutes will be a good one for chicken breast. Next, I'm going to also add in reduced fat shredded Mexican cheese blend. Sometimes it can be tricky to find the reduced fat kind. Just look for that if you're able to. And so you're going to add that in, and then you're also going to add in some of the enchilada sauce, and this is just canned red enchilada sauce. Well, actually, first I'm adding in my chilies, but either order is fine. It really doesn't matter. This is 4 ounces of diced green chilies you're going to want to stir in. And then the other thing is note that on the recipe card for this, you can add in a lot of different things if you'd like to. Feel free to add in some diced tomatoes, maybe some chopped zucchini, chopped cauliflower, but note that any additions that you do add will change the nutrition information. So here I'm just mixing in the enchilada sauce, and you'll just want to stir everything once this is added to be sure it's well combined. So as I mentioned, you're more than welcome to add in any additional items. I've added in some rinsed and drained black beans into this, and this is just going to add a little extra fiber and some protein to the dish. You're more than welcome to do this if you'd like. The recipe nutrition information is based on the base recipe, but this is just showing you another example of what it might look like when you add additional items in for nutrition. So that's definitely an option for you if you are interested in doing that. So this is the casserole after it has been baked. I did bake it in the oven for a total of about 15 minutes. You just want to heat everything because the chicken's already cooked. So you just want to heat it through. And now I am going to serve it into serving sizes and individual serving containers. Know that it's about 1/5 of the recipe. So I have 5 containers here. These are just the sizes that I had. I was doing about 3/4 of a cup per measuring device. So it is a cup measurement, but inside there's a line and it shows you 3/4 of a cup. So just do it based on your own containers. I will say that traditionally, if you're doing glass and you're freezing it, or any container with freezing it, you want to make sure there's a little bit of headspace. So I actually had to go back through in that first one and take a couple spoonfuls out. But it's roughly 3/4 of a cup that we're doing per serving in here. You could put this into freezer Ziploc bags or any sort of container you'd like, and then when you're ready to serve it, you're more than welcome to top it with some cilantro that's been chopped, maybe some non-fat plain Greek yogurt, or sliced green onions. So those are additional options. And when you're ready to enjoy it, you can thaw it in the refrigerator overnight, and then reheat in the microwave and then top. I also recommend serving this with a non-starchy vegetable on the side, such as zucchini, cauliflower, broccoli, or a green salad, especially if you didn't add any vegetables into the casserole itself. For our last recipe, we will be making shepherd's pie with cauliflower mash, as adapted from aseasyasapplepie.com and carbmanager.com. Perfect recipe for the cold season that we're coming into. For this recipe, you'll want to take cauliflower and trim into the individual florets, and then you also have 3 cloves of garlic ready to go. Then you're going to put the cauliflower and the garlic into a pot of salted, boiling water, and you'll cook it in there about 10 minutes or until the cauliflower is fork tender. Then you're going to drain and return the cauliflower back to the hot pan and let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes with the lid on. Next, you're going to take some nonstick cooking spray inside of a pie pan to prepare it for the shepherd's pie. Meanwhile, going back to the cauliflower mash, I put it inside of a blender. You can use a food processor. Just mix everything up. You also will have added in the salt and pepper to this and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. So you're going to blend everything up until it gets this nice mashed potato-like consistency, and then set it aside until you're ready to assemble the shepherd's pie. Meanwhile, go ahead and start browning up the beef, the ground sirloin, and you'll just want to stir it around, make sure it gets cooked all the way through, and then once it's brown, you can pull it from the pan, drain out any fat, and then we will go on to cooking the carrots and onion. So when you add in the carrots and onion, you'll want to have a half a cup of the carrots and a third a cup of the chopped onion, and you're going to saute that up until it's translucent. Add in the ground beef and also the garlic. Here we have the garlic and the ground beef back in the pan with everything else, and I'm just finishing cooking everything through. You're going to assemble everything into the pan. Before you do that, be sure you add in your Worcestershire sauce to the mixture after you've put the beef mixture into the pan. This adds a nice flavor and moisture. And then you're going to finish by topping with the mashed cauliflower. Once you've completed, this is going to be what it will look like. You'll just want to top it with a quarter cup of shredded low-fat cheddar cheese. Place it in a 350-degree preheated oven and let it cook for 25 minutes. Then you'll set it under the high broiler for 5 minutes to brown the cheese and make sure that the top has a little bit more browning. And this is what it looks after it has been baked. You can see the browning on the top from the broiler, and now I've divided it into the serving sizes of 1/6 of the pie. So just, you can go ahead and do that part now, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it into individual containers to be put into the freezer. I do recommend letting it cool in the refrigerator prior to freezing. There you have it. There are 5 freezer family friendly meals that are also bariatric friendly, and I've also included a grocery list here that you can screenshot and save in case you would like to make all the recipes that I've shown you today. Last thing I'd like to leave you with is this brief guide for freezing meals. You can go to the source on the bottom of this screen to see more information, but basically you just want to be sure that when you are freezing, you are practicing safe food handling. You want to divide everything into single servings or whatever size that you are going to be able to consume with you or any guests that you may have for your meals. And the nice thing is that freezing allows you to enjoy easy meals that are ready to go when you are. You can also consider freezing into ice cubes, especially when you're in the early stages of your bariatric recovery and your appetite may not be to the degree that it might normally be, or it might be later in your recovery. So feel free to do that for smaller serving sizes. Once frozen, you can put the cubes into a freezer safe bag or container. This would work really well with that pasta sauce. That would be one of the ones that I think would be really conducive to freezing into ice cubes. Then for temperature safety, be sure to let foods come to room temperature before you put it into the freezer. And so you just maybe cool it down in the refrigerator first, and then you'll stick it into the freezer. And then package your food really well. This is going to prevent freezer burn and promote preservation. And then for methods for thawing, overnight in the refrigerator is a really easy method for thawing food, but you can use your microwave thawing settings too. Just be sure you cook immediately after thawing in the microwave if you use any of those settings. For more information on freezing food safely, please visit the source cited below on this page. So thank you again, everyone. I hope that you enjoy these recipes and that they give you some good inspiration for some freezer-friendly, bariatric-friendly, and family-friendly recipes. And I hope that you enjoy preparing these as much as I enjoyed preparing this video for you. So thank you and bon appetit.